Hey guys, we wanted to do a part 2 from our last blog. We got some questions over the last couple of days in regards to liability and not just who it rests with, but also how much somebody should expect in terms of a claim. But real quick, before we get into it, we just passed Memorial Day. I want to thank all the veterans out there, past, present, future. Thank you for your service. Thank you for giving us a country that we get to, experience the freedoms we have. Very, very blessed. So we're going to jump right into it. We've got a couple parts to this inside what is a good release value. So we have used goods and new goods, and then we got some breakdowns in there. So real quick, used goods is pretty straightforward. I'm going to cover that. ARC deals a lot in used goods. We have a lot of trade show material that has been used multiple times. We move a lot of that sort of stuff. So there's standard release values when it comes to used goods. It's important to note that if you didn't get the last video or didn't see the last video, down in the comments below, we'll have links to our old blog posts or old videos. And also, this blog post has a pretty cool spreadsheet attached to it that gives you the release values of most of the big carriers out there in terms of their standard release values. You can go to our site, you can look at the full blog post on it and get that information. So to jump right into it, used goods. Used goods have a pretty standard release value, and it's between 10 cents and 50 cents per pound of freight. So if you move a 100-pound skid, you'll get $50 if something gets damaged if that skid gets damaged. That's on used goods. Pretty straightforward. That's the standard release value. You can purchase additional insurance. Rarely do insurance companies actually pay out on used goods simply because they're used goods. The proof of burden is on the shipper, and it's usually very, very difficult to facilitate a claim on used goods. So remember that when you're shipping used goods, especially the trade show, because it gets handled so often and handled so many times for your clients, that when moving it, most carriers will stick to their guns in terms of that used release value. Now, when you look at new ship or new value shipping, and you're a manufactured product, it's instant original packaging, all those items, all the next stuff I'm talking about applies to you and applies to your needs. The most important part for you to understand is classifications play a role in terms of LTL classifications, play a role in your release value. So a typical shipment with a typical tariff, not negotiated tariff. So it's important to note that when you use a 3PL and you get these bottom basement rates in certain cases, they've negotiated lower release values built into the tariffs. So in a standardized tariff, a Class 70 shipment, let's say averages at $4 a pound release value. So, you moved a 1,000-pound skid, you get $4,000 if something gets damaged. However, in a 3PL, a lot of times when you get these rate resellers, not just 3PL, but any rate reseller, you'll see that they may take their Class 70 and reduce it all the way down to $1 a pound, where you're not going to get the protection you're expecting at the release value of a Class 70, and that's because they have customized tariffs in place or czar light rates with customized release value tariffs in place. So a standardized release value is considered the standard value that you're releasing your freight to the carrier at, meaning anything happens to this freight, I am agreeing to the terms of whatever that class is and whatever the tariff states. So we have the release value, which is standard. You don't have to buy anything extra. It's a standard release value. Now, on the bill of lading, if you put anything in the declared value area, that is considered the full value release, meaning you want replacement up to the dollar amount that will either repair, replace, or they can do a cash buyout of the items you have. And that usually is where you fill in the declared value amount. So if you have a 50-pound piece, but it's worth $10,000, you'd write your $10,000 in the declared value, and that would be an add-on purchase to your shipment. You have to be careful because sometimes the rates get very, very aggressive when you're buying additional insurance through the carrier, but you can always do that with the declared value box, and that's the full release value. It's important to note, it is still your responsibility, and the proof of burden is still on you to demonstrate why it's worth that much. You can protect and pay for $10,000, but if it is not worth $10,000, the carrier will not pay on the $10,000. It's very, very important to note that. It's also important to note that you can always go out as a shipper or as a manufacturer, you can always go out and buy insurance through your own insurance provider, insurance company, as a rider policy. Some carriers also provide it. For ARC, when we have very large projects or large shipments that require millions and millions of dollars for specific pieces, we go out and buy rider policies to where we're not buying cargo insurance, we're buying actual rider policy. It's much cheaper, it's much more cohesive and complete in the protection that we want to provide the client, and we can actually give them a certificate for that insurance. So there's as you can tell, it can get aggressive pretty quickly in terms of understanding every facet of it. If you guys have any additional questions in regards to what your release value would be or what the expectation is in terms of if something gets damaged, you can always let us know. We can point to you in your tariffs. If you have your LTL tariffs, we can always point to you in your tariffs. Hey, this is where the release value section is. This is what you should look at. But you can also ask your sales reps. They should be able to tell you. And if you have any other questions, feel free to contact us. And we'd be happy to talk to you about what the expectation of a release value should be. As always, I appreciate you watching. If you have any other questions, feel free to ask them. It might come up in a video in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, look forward to hearing from you again.